Welcome back. We're not going live from the district this morning, but we are going live with 2020 presidential candidate and former congressman from Maryland, John Delaney. Congressman, good morning.
Thanks for having me. Good morning.
Thanks for coming.
It's great.
Okay, so yesterday you put out a spicy statement that reads, Donald Trump is unfit for the office of the presidency. He lies to the American people, lacks basic decency, belittles American patriots like John McCain, engages in lawless behavior, uses violence inciting rhetoric, attacks our most fundamental institutions, and undermines the separation of powers.
Woo!
So what's not accurate about that statement?
Can't find the line. Can't find the line. So Trump has been doing this all for a while now, though,
Yes.
right? So why did
For
you
about 50 years. Well, I think it was more of kind of a refresher. In some sense. Right, a reminder of people, right? Like, so the McCain thing really got me over the weekend.
Okay.
I'm like, oh, why is he doing this? Right. I mean, just at it. First of all, he was terrible to John McCain while Senator McCain was alive.
Right.
And now, a year later, he suddenly comes out with this. So I just thought it was a good time to kind of refresh for everyone what we're actually dealing with here.
In case you're keeping score.
Right. What about it really upset you?
Casey suddenly thought he became decent.
Yeah.
Right.
But what about that moment? What about it really?
It was just so extraordinarily petty. Right. And I think a fundamental job of the President of the United States, right, is to really lead the nation with dignity and a sense of, decency and a moral compass. I think a president should get up every morning and basically have a quiet moment to themselves where they say, what am I going to do today to set the right tone at the top of the country and to bring this terribly divided nation back together? I think that's core to the job of the presidency, right, to really lead this country with the type of values and approach that has so long defined who we are as a people.
Not just start watching Fox and Friends. Got it.
Okay. Yeah, right, exactly.
So you recently pledged to give...
That's not the quiet moment I'm talking about.
That's not the quiet moment you're talking about.
Yeah.
You did recently pledge to give $2 of your own money to charity for every dollar donated to your campaign.
Absolutely. Delaney Debate Challenge.
So I do want to ask you this, though. Are you kind of using your wealth to game the DNC debate system?
Well, I'm not really gaming it. I'm pretty open and transparent about it, right? Which is, you're talking about it here. And this is where we need 65,000 individual donors, right? I haven't spent most of my career in Congress soliciting money from small donors, right? Some people did a lot of that. I didn't do a lot of that. And so I've got to catch up, and we're going to do it. And I had a couple of options, one of which is to advertise like crazy digitally, which I'm doing right now, and will raise us a bunch of small dollar donors. That costs money. I said, well, wouldn't it be kind of cool rather than giving some digital marketing firms $2 for every dollar I raise, which is kind of what it's going to cost? Why don't I just say for a bunch of people, hey, I'll just give it to charity?
And have you seen a response from them?
Oh, yeah, it's been great. And there's 11 charities people can pick. It's all out in the open. And my motivation for doing it is just that, right? I've always been wired to think philanthropically, right? Because I think there's a lot of great philanthropic solutions to a lot of great problems we have. My wife and I have always been into that. We were voted the Philanthropist of the Year in the Washington metro area one year. So we're generally wired to think, hey, if there's a way for us to get a double bottom line here, achieve our goal, and actually give some money to other folks, we'll do it.
Yeah.
So people liked it.
Yeah. And you mentioned that some people started looking for donations early and you just started. Like, Pete Buttigieg, who entered the race in January this year, has already passed the threshold.
Yeah.
You entered in summer of last year, July. Why did you decide to wait until now?
Well, part of it is, I never liked these messages that I would receive. The sky is falling. Give us, $2 before midnight.
Right.
Right. I always just thought they were kind of unseemly and a little bit of I don't know, wasn't really my brand. I'm about solutions. I'm about bringing people together. I'm about solving problems. And so, I'd been in Congress since 2012. I had obviously done a lot of advertising for my campaigns and stuff like that. But I basically never really focused on getting small dollar donations from hardworking Americans because I was like, let me communicate to them what I want to do. Let me not just ask them for money all the time. But now we have this metric that the DNC came up with, which is fine. We'll get there. But I just thought it would be kind of cool if some people want to make it easier for me. Give me $1. I'll give $2 to one of 11 charities. They pick in their name. And then
it gets put in that way. All right, so listen, so you feel
so feel out in the open about it. I'm not
you're feeling very optimistic about it. Now, and you're optimistic about a lot of things. You have been to every county.
It's a better way to live your life.
It is. Fair enough. But you've been to every county in Iowa.
I have.
How many are there?
99.
Nailed it. Very nice job. What are the people in those counties looking for, and do you think you're it?
I'll answer the second question first. Yes, I think I'm definitely it. I think what they're looking for is someone to solve problems, right? There's a lot of issues in this country. A lot of people are struggling, and they need leaders to actually start addressing some of this stuff, not just talking about it. I mean, we should have dealt with climate change 10 years ago. We should have had a universal health care in this system in this country 10 years ago. We have to start solving problems. We have to rethink our future. I want my kids, you know, maybe your kids, everyone's kids out there to have a better future. We got to start getting things done. And I think what they're really looking for is someone to bring us together. I think the central issue facing this country right now is how terribly divided we are, how American is pitted against American, right? And the president does that. He wakes up every day and says, how do I divide this country? How do I go to the American people and say, your enemy is your fellow American? We're all in this together, and I think that's what they're looking for. Now, the other thing they're looking for is a lot of small towns in Iowa have really been left behind. Right? The pace of change in this country has been extraordinary, and it's created tremendous concentration of economic opportunity. And they want to know are there going to be jobs in these towns for my kids, for my grandkids. They really worry about that stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Speaking of kids,
yes,
we can't get enough. I can't get enough of this college scandal, admission scandal that's going on. And, you know, as a fellow graduate of Columbia University.
Oh, cool.
Yes. And I know you were a scholarship kid.
Yes, I was.
So I want to know, like, what's your take on this? Because there's two people who got into a prestigious school without our parents
being able to buy it.
I didn't, you know.
I didn't either.
I tried.
You know, so, like,
my dad was an electrician. Trust me. He wasn't going to pay anyone to get me into college. So listen, this scandal in particular is terrible, right? It's a bunch of people doing things that are illegal and fraudulent.
Yeah.
Right? It's a bunch of parents paying bribes, which is against the law, to crooked athletic coaches. Right? So I just think we got to remember this scandal is about a bunch of bad people. It's a bunch of bad apples. Right? And there's always going to be bad apples in every system. But I do think, you know, these universities in general try to do a really good job. I mean, you just put up a stat previously about the school here. Was it Stuyvesant?
Yeah.
That only had less than 1% of their students being African American. Most of the great universities in this country, their stats don't look like that. They do a much better job at trying to make sure people have opportunities in this country. So I think we got to make sure we don't indict this whole system based on a bunch of really bad actors.
We're both like, well, but
I mean, yes. I mean, partly. I mean, there is this whole, you know, there's the wealth situation.
No, I'm not saying that. But like, we just looked it up. Harvard University, their incoming class of African Americans was about 10, 11%.
Yeah.
But that's not Stuyvesant.
No, I mean, both of them are still low. They're not even. But it is progression in a sense.
Well, and, you know, a lot of them are need blind.
Yeah.
Right? If you're accepted, right, they pay everything. So I just want to make sure we're careful to to ensure that we build on the progress we've made. Right? These are really bad actors, these people. Like, terrible.
Not a Full House fan.
The system could be changed a little bit. We got one last question for you before we let you go.
For kids in this country. I mean, we should focus on the goal. How do we create more opportunity for kids in these countries? We should have at least 2 years college free, et cetera. I know you want to ask questions.
Yes, I want to end on a fun note. In the 90s, George H.W. Bush got flack for not knowing the price of a gallon of milk. We want to update the question by asking you if you know the price of a basic Netflix subscription.
See, I don't watch television. So a basic
Netflix.
monthly.
Netflix. Just a Netflix subscription.
You mean a monthly subscription?
Yeah.
20?
$8.99.
We're sorry, sir. It is
you believe it's
$8.99.
so cheap? I can't.
Real quick before we let you go, what about an actual gallon of milk?
$4.
Yeah, $3.50. Yeah, we'll give you that.
Yeah.
On the Netflix, we'll give you, and we won't ask you.
I shop more than I watch television.
We won't ask you about.
I like the cook, so I know all the food prices.
Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Yes.
Really appreciate it.
Yes, Congressman Delaney, thank you so much for joining us. Up next, I'm sitting down with Soledad O'Brien.